In today's video, I'm going to be arguing that Albert Einstein was not, in fact, the supposed genius that everyone believes he is. He's not the smartest man who ever lived, but perhaps actually just an idiot. And that might sound like a very provocative position. So the first thing I want to look at right away, because I know people are going to want to immediately dismiss this as nonsense, let's look at this. This is Meta AI. And Meta AI is admitting right here that it is programmed to lie and fabricate evidence in order to defend the relativity narrative of Albert Einstein. So if AI is programmed to lie and fabricate evidence, well, maybe this isn't such a good idea, right? Like, I don't think you need to lie and fabricate evidence to defend algebra. If someone challenges algebra, they're going to lose. It's a good idea, right? When you're moving. So now this next thing here is going to be another paradox, okay? So we're going to dive a bit deeper into special relativity, a spacecraft here, okay? Little alien spacecraft. And this spaceship rotates like this, okay? It's rotating, just spinning around in circles, okay? And spins around an axis point, and this is the axis point here. Let's color 2 here, okay? And you're standing at the axis point, okay? Now this is another very crazy thing. So in special relativity, as an object moves faster relative to a stationary person, you experience this thing called length contraction. If you don't believe me, check it up on Meta AI or ask a physicist. Now, when we build this donut structure, the length, like the radius of this donut is going to consistently decrease. Okay, it's going to get smaller and smaller the faster and faster we spin this thing. Okay, and what's going to eventually happen is this donut is going to get so small that it crushes this person, and he's going to die, or the donut will explode. Okay. Now this is from his point of view. All right, from the point of view of the stationary observer, you, this guy standing in the center of the donut, as this thing spins faster and faster, the length will contract more and more. It'll get smaller and smaller, and it'll crush you and kill you. Okay. Now here's what's crazy. If you're an observer on this donut, let's say you're on this spaceship, as it spins faster and faster, you will not see length contraction. You will not see this donut get smaller and smaller, and it will not close in and crush this guy. Okay, so it's not going to kill the guy. He sees this person as fine and dandy. He doesn't see this person in the center get crushed and killed. And in fact, he could even pull out a radio and he could have a radio conversation with this guy, even though from this guy's perspective, the guy in the center, even though from his own point of view, he's dead, the point of view of the person in this saucer sees him as alive, and it can even talk to him. So what Einstein is proposing is that based on velocity, people experience different realities. What I think is really interesting is that when you look at this, they always say relativity is true because of all these experiments. I'm like, how come they don't actually do any of these interesting experiments, right? Why don't we do an experiment like this where we crush something through length contraction? I mean, that would be pretty darn cool. Like, you could have this guy filming a video, he could have on his video camera and show that this person is alive, and you could have another video camera right here showing the person is dead, and you could you could compare the video footage in both cameras and show one video of him alive and one video of him dead, right? You can show these, you can demonstrate this alternate reality. Obviously not to this extent, right? Because in Einstein's math, something has to be spinning unbelievably fast. He makes it very, very difficult to ever test any of his ideas. He makes it so there's no simple way to demonstrate any of these ideas. But anyways, that's a very interesting paradox, I think, and really demonstrates the absurdity of relativity. Okay, so this next paradox is very interesting as well. And this one I think you could actually do. So like this length contraction one might be very hard to do because you'd have to spin this thing around super fast and the centrifugal force would be super high, blah, 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 right? Now this one is much more feasible. This one's a more realistic experiment you could actually do. And I'm like, how come scientists don't do these really cool experiments that clearly demonstrate an alternate reality? Okay. So we have this rocket ship. And as this rocket ship is flying at an extremely high speed, okay, this thing's going like I don't know, half the speed of light or something. I don't know, whatever, just super, super fast, okay? Now, to a stationary observer, they will, let's say this is the stationary observer, okay? This is you. You see this rocket ship and you have a device which can measure the weight, okay? I don't know how it works, but it can scan the weight of the rocket ship. So the rocket ship, when it's stationary, it weighs, let's say, 50,000 kilograms, okay? When this rocket ship flies by, he's going to measure something like 97,500 kilograms or whatever, right? According to relativity, as an object moves faster, a stationary observer will measure the weight to be higher. But the person on the rocket ship will still measure it to be 50,000 kilograms. So this creates a very, very interesting problem, okay? If I take this rocket ship and I crash it into this gigantic block of ice, okay? So we fly it into this big block of ice. Kershmash, right? Boom. Oh, let's do some blue cracks here, okay? We're going to have a really interesting phenomenon. So as this ship crashes into this block of ice, the observer on the ship will experience this crash with a 50,000 kilogram rocket. And the stationary observer will experience this rocket crashing with a 97,500 kilogram rocket. So the fractal pattern of the ice exploding is going to be totally different. Okay, the guy on the rocket is going to see the ice explode one way, and the stationary observer is going to see the ice explode a totally different way, like this or something, okay? Now, this is really crazy. Like, if you're filming a video from the rocket and you're filming a video from the stationary observer, you're going to see totally different footage. Well, that's a really damn cool experiment. Why don't they do something like that, right? And even like a small change in mass is going to totally change the fractal. Very different. We want to look at the magic, and we want to look at, is there any experiments that just confirm this magic, right? And I don't know. I've asked Meta AI. It says there's no experiments done to confirm any of these magical things that we're talking about here, okay? So next one. This one is also a very, very feasible experiment that scientists could easily do. So we have the planet Earth here. This is our Earth. I guess it's green because of climate change. There's no more water. So we'll give it a little water here. Okay, there's some water. There's our Earth. Now, what we can do is with special relativity, we can get these two rockets, and we're going to fly them around the Earth in opposite directions. Okay, so this one is going to go this way, and this one is going to go this way. Okay, great. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a lot of time dilation. Okay. So what's going to happen is, according to special relativity, as these rockets, pass each other, so this one's flying this way, right? As they pass each other, they're going to notice something very strange. So this is going to be a little bit hard to draw. So I'll try to draw this. You're on the rocket. You're on the rocket here. And then you're looking, this is your window. Okay, so you see your clock here. And your clock says, let's say noon. Okay, this is your clock. That's a clock. And you see this rocket flying by you, okay? And we look into his window. We look into his window and we zoom in, okay? So we're gonna zoom in here, and we zoom in and we look at his clock. Okay, his clock is going to be running slower according to Einstein. So we're going to see his clock reading let's say 11 o'clock. His clock's going to say 11 as opposed to noon. Now, this is exaggerating the effect of time dilation, but Meta AI agrees that's correct. And here's the weird thing. From his perspective, he'll observe the exact same thing as you. He'll see your clock as running slow, and he'll see his clock as saying noon. Now we get to really big, here's where we really resolve this, okay? So now what we do is we take this rocket and we reverse the direction. So instead of flying this way, this one now flies this way, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to meet these rockets up. We're going to have them meet each other up. They're going to fly right next to each other. And now there's a whole range of experiments we could do, which are really interesting. We could toss this clock. We can physically throw the clock from one rocket to the other rocket, and we'll actually see the clock leap forward in time. As soon as it lands on the other rocket, it's going to jump from 11 o'clock to noon. We're going to see this time leap forward. What? That's absolutely amazing. Isn't that something you'd want to see a video of, Or you could build, let's say you could build a bridge between the two rockets and connect them. And this would destroy the time dilation effect. And you would also see your clock leap forward in time. Or another really interesting experiment you could do is you could simply just have both these rockets filming each other's clock. Just imagine that. Imagine you have two video cameras filming the exact same clock at the exact same time, and one camera is giving you 12 o'clock and the other one's giving you 11. Wouldn't that be absolutely mind-blowing, right? Or seeing a clock jump forward in time. Okay, so now the next thing that is really crazy in relativity theory is that all observers will always measure light to be the same speed regardless of their velocity. All right, well, that doesn't sound so crazy on the surface, but when we actually think about it, that makes pretty much no sense. Okay, so if I'm on this rocket here and I'm flying, okay, and we have a beam of light going this way. Let's make that bigger. We have a beam of light going this way. So the beam of light travels at c, which is the speed of light. It's a very big number. You can Google it. It's a bajillion kilometers per hour. 200 kilometers per hour. That's not the speed of light. That's just a made up number, okay? So if this, now we're measuring this speed of light. We're on our rocket ship, and we send out a little sensor. I'm not exactly sure how these sensors work. I think they go by color and things. But let's say we measure this light, right? We bounce a little sensor off and determine the speed that the light's moving at, right? We're going to measure this speed. And now let's say our rocket accelerates like crazy, okay? So we're going, let's say, almost the speed of light. What Einstein is saying that when we measure this speed of light compared to our rocket, it'll still measure c. What? That seems to make no sense, because let's just say for a moment here, we actually get our rocket to go the speed of light. Let's say we get our speed up to the speed of light. How could we possibly measure the speed of light from our rocket traveling this fast if we're moving side by side with the beam of light? We can look out our window and all we're going to see is this dot, because the light will be frozen. We're traveling at the same speed of light. So how on earth can we always measure the same speed even though our velocity is changing? That seems to make no sense. And while Einstein has this great protective mechanism, I think it's there's always some reason. There's always some reason you can't do these experiments, right? So in this case, as you go faster, your mass increases, and you would need infinite energy to accelerate to the speed of light. But there's nothing in Einstein's math saying you can't go 1/3 the speed of light. Okay, you can travel 1/3 the speed of light. And if you build a giant tube, let's say you build a giant diamond tube, right? This is our tube made of diamonds. Diamonds are, the rock diamond. Ice is the gangster terminology, right? So if we shine this light through this diamond, the speed will drop by 66%, 66% slower. Now we obviously can travel faster than light. We can travel faster than light moving through this diamond. And if we're traveling at the speed or faster than light, how can we possibly measure c? There's no way not c, would measure a 1/3 c. How would we possibly measure 1/3 c if we're traveling at the speed of light? You have to measure 0 if it's a relative measurement, right? Which is what Einstein's talking about. And what's interesting is I asked Meta AI about this, and it said Einstein said this only holds true in a vacuum. And I said, where did he say that? And he said, and Meta says in one of his lectures. And I say, cite the lecture. And he said, this is where it said, actually, I made this up. It's not a real thing. I'm fabricating information. Okay, so that's another interesting thing to look at. Maybe you clearly can travel faster than light. First of all, the idea that you can't go faster than light, that idea is probably wrong. You probably can go faster than light, just not in a vacuum. And the idea that all observers will always measure light to be the same speed regardless of their velocity, that can't be true, because if you simply go at the speed of light, you have to measure it as 0. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is Einstein's personal life. And many are going to say, what is it relevant, blah, 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 Einstein cheated a lot. Well, okay, so first of all, in colleges, they have twice the rate of cheating, sexual cheating, than people of the same age group who are outside of college, right? And I think that Einstein has very, very huge influence on all aspects of college culture, okay? From the infidelity to the relativism, all these ideas like moral relativism, everything is just a matter of perspective, this like super pluralistic views. This all comes from relativity theory, because Einstein does argue that everyone lives in their own alternate reality determined by velocity, okay? Now, Einstein had 2 wives and he cheated on both of them multiple times. And he forced them to be okay with it. He says that I'm a very powerful and high status person, so you just have to accept it. And he argues that he will not be held back by social conventions. Now, this is such a stupid argument, okay? Because why would you get married then, right? If you don't believe in social conventions, why would you sign up for like these social conventions? It's like an atheist signing up to a church, okay? And not only why would you do it, but why would you do it twice, okay? And here's the next thing. He complains about his wife being a very bitter and jealous person, and how depressed, and how she's ruining his life and making him miserable. I'm like, huh. This doesn't sound like the writings of a genius. This sounds like the writings of a totally clueless idiot. Now, you could be obviously very smart in math, but very stupid in psychology. Fine, that's something you can do. I tend to think intelligence does cross over more than that. I tend to think like people have this general ability to critically think in most areas. But anyways, fine. Let's say that the intelligence doesn't cross over. But the point is, it says a lot about his character. Okay, if someone's willing to cheat, deceive, lie, and just treat other people like crap, and these are the people closest to him who love him, right? To me, it doesn't seem like much of a stretch of the imagination that he would also cheat, lie, and treat other people like crap who are not close to him at all in order to maximize his status and power, right? So this kind of character is more likely to commit some kind of fraud, I think. Okay, so lastly, the thing people are going to say is, okay, there's all these contradictions, there's all these paradoxes and all these things that don't make any sense, but experiments have confirmed again and again and again that relativity is true. So first of all, when we just ask Meta AI, are these experiments done in a neutral and objective way? Meta AI says no. these experiments show strong confirmation bias. So anytime they do this experiment and it doesn't align with the math of relativity, they keep redoing the experiment, they tweak little things, move this here, until they get the result that aligns with relativity. Then they assume this experiment is done correctly. So the way relativity and Einstein logic works is like this. It's like saying 2 plus 2 is 4, therefore we live in a 14-dimensional universe where time flows backwards. And if you don't agree with that, then you're an idiot because 2 plus 2 is 4. What? No. The math can be correct without all this crazy stuff attached to it, okay? They say all the magical is true because the mundane is true, but you need the experiments to prove the magical. And when I look at all these examples of magical things that relativity is claiming, we don't have these experiments. We want the magic. We want to see time travel. We want to see videos of ice exploding differently from different cameras. We want to see videos of clocks jumping forward in time. We want to see this stuff, the magic. People just keep telling us, these people are geniuses. Einstein's a genius. He's a genius. You don't have to understand his ideas. His ideas doesn't have to make any sense. Just accept it, right? And to me, that's not science. That's religion. And that's what Einstein claimed. He says science without religion is lame. So to me, it's probably religion.